looking at the roads, the parameters of the area where.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Okay.
Anything else?
Hey, Mark, can I get an update on the bridge replacement on 200 South west of 700? Yeah, west side of the county.
Yeah, they're just starting, they got the notice to proceed, I believe, it was early this year, for preliminary engineering, but they're in the process of right-of-way utilities, things in that manner. So I just had to do a report for NDOT in regards to that. I think when it's actually going to be letting, or what fiscal year is going to be money supplied, and I think we moved it back to 2025.
But it is progressing.
Yes.
I did speak to the postmaster. He was asking about the closed bridge on 50 South. I told him we decided to close it for now, but if we did open it as a self-repair, it'd be closed several years. So they just wanted to see if they needed to change their route. And I was like, I would definitely change their routes. If it gets reopened, it's still years out.
As far as that, I'm in compliance with NDOT for that, by putting dead end signs and closing the road, barricading the bridge. So everybody's good with that as far as bridge inspection. I just had that earlier this month. So Decatur County's in compliance with all we need to be. We can leave it closed as long as we want. So,
Invoice here for $15,150 from Strand for engineering services at the highway department, which will be paid by TIF. We just need to approve that, to send it to TIF.
I'd move to approve. Second.
And pay app number 12, the highway department, which also goes to TIF. This application is $507,150.37. Approval on that to send it to TIF.
Make a motion. Second.
Anything else from you, Colin?
Thank you, guys.
Sheriff, I'm sorry, not yet. Kenny Bean, relax.
Since our last meeting, I had 48 building inspections, 21 new building permits and reviews. I had 2 red tags, both for building without a permit, pole barns, and permits required. I did get to visit the house in St. Omer last week to check the abatement of tires and trash. And all the, I was happy with. I consider it a closed case on that nuisance abatement, if you look at those pictures. And he said he was gonna start trying to continue on that privacy fence and get that up. I started working on a list of letters sent that Tony requested, and I had the office to myself last Friday after 11 o'clock. I'm still had to do inspections also. I'll try to get that list taken care of this week.
Yeah, I think with the numbers of them we've got, just kind of running the list, even maybe trying to assign some kind of report over to them. I may come in and try to sit down with you on maybe kind of a process that we can track better. And then we still have the Smith residence open.
Yeah, there's where I got started.
I drove by.
I have not been down there.
Yes, I drove by a week and a half ago and there hadn't been any additional done from the last time I was
Still
down
got,
there.
there's 2 by the road, or a truck and an axle or something.
Yeah, so don't know. I think you got it to a certain point and then maybe a stop. stops. We may send him another letter and go, hey, you've been doing a really good job. Let's finish, or
Yeah.
just take it to court. But they're not quite there, but they were going good. Any updates on the Clarksburg address, Moss? With the trash by the park?
Do you have any idea if that guy's in jail?
I don't know.
No, that's the one in Clarksburg. Yeah, they're cleaning up. I did go by that Clarksburg house and
We're right next to
there
the
was a
park.
big burn pile. They were burning. I guess they're allowed.
Well, I think they kind of always do that, so stay on top of that one because I think that property's been that way for a very long time. Say no more.
And that one in Sandusky, I need to check on that too. I don't know if that guy's, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, Bernie, I'm gonna go out and see Mr. Alverson tomorrow afternoon. Just to kind of hear his conversations. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of conversation out in the Bernie area on multiple things. I've had lots of people contacting me and doing some stuff, so I'm going out there in October. There's kind of a meet and greet thing, and I imagine there's gonna be numerous people out there talking about what's going on out there, so. But we'll probably, I don't know what we'll do out there yet, but it sounds like there's a lot of people want a lot of things cleaned up and kind of worked on. More on that later.
Anything else, Ken? No, that's all I got. Now, Sheriff.
Thank you, and good morning. Item number one, I emailed you a copy of current ordinance 33-071, administrative fees on all sheriff sales. As you can see, that was passed in 2005, so almost 18 years ago. I also emailed you a copy of the Indiana code, shows we can now charge $200 rather than $125. So we're asking to amend this ordinance to reflect that $200 rather than $125.
Any questions?
I didn't have anyone argue. Just for public's sake, what's the purpose of increasing, the cost there?
Again, it's inflation, if you will, in the 18 years. Plus this money goes to our pension, so the benefits there.
And what, if any, I guess, services do you guys have to provide?
It's really just administrative, overseeing the sale itself.
I don't have any other questions.
I make a motion to approve.
Item number two, I emailed you a copy of the memorandum of understanding between court services and our department in regards to work release. That outlines the fees we charge, and court services will be collecting those fees, and then our department in turn will be invoicing court services to get our portion of those proceeds. So I'm just asking for your approval on this memorandum of understanding, and then we'll move forward with an ordinance describing where that money goes and what we can spend it on. If this is approved.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with what I saw there. Sure.
I have any questions on it?
I go ahead. Move to approve.
I'll make a second.
Thank you very much.
Try to see work release come back.
Well, it's a little update. We currently have 5 already work release emails and emails. It's been pretty flawless so far. Knock on wood.
Thank you.
Matt Natty.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Matt is handing out to you what I like to call our Faces of Wellness Court. This is something that Judge Bailey is really passionate about and that he put us in charge of implementing back in the summer of 2021. And we've been working really hard at it. So we are here today to ask for consideration in allowing Wellness Court to use some of the opioid funds that were given to Decatur County as part of the opioid settlement back in 2022. If you flip the page, you kind of see, we're asking for the restricted amount. We qualify in multiple ways, which is listed towards the bottom under Schedule B. Wellness court and court services in general. We support people in treatment and recovery. We connect people with wraparound services to individuals with opioid use disorder, substance use disorder, along with co-occurring mental health conditions. This can include housing, transportation, education, job placement, job training, and child care. We connect people with counseling, peer support, recovery, case management, residential treatment, and access to medication. And we're big advocates to support the stigma reduction. The other thing is we connect people who need help to the help they need. Basically, that is just, we want them to be successful and make it off our supervision, whether that's wellness court, whether that's coming out of our reentry program, CTP, whether that's just basic probation. We want to work on handing off participants seamlessly into the recovery world. The main area we qualify in is addressing the needs of criminal and justice involved persons. We do pretrial services. We connect them with treatment, basically just like we offer them any services we would if they were post-conviction. We support treatment and recovery courts, and we provide and connect people with evidence-based informed treatment, including medication, treatment, recovery support, harm reduction, and other appropriate services. Obviously our focus is people that are leaving the jail or prison and that are currently out in the community but under supervision. Wellness court in general, it's a 1.5 to 2 year program. It's very intensive. We started it back, Decatur County's opened in February of 2023. We currently have 4 participants with 5 slots, as Matt and I are running it ourselves on top of our normal job duties. Our goal is to hire an individual, which would have to be a probation officer, to run wellness court full time, which could allow us 15 to 20 participants. As you can see in the pictures that I handed you, in the 6 months that these 3 people have been in the program, if you just look at their pictures, you can see the huge difference that has come across their lives. We really focus on families in regards to that. All those people have families that they haven't had connections with in multiple years because of their criminal activities and their addiction. We're really proud to say that we're helping all 3 of those people connect back with their kids and parents. And that's something that those people never thought would be possible. But through this program, they are experiencing that. Obviously, we don't have stats for you on our success rate because we just started, but when you talk to other counties, it's between 50 to 60%. And it kind of depends on what you base success on, because this program is so lengthy. Do you base it on graduation? Do you base it on positive or negative drug screens? We track recidivism 3 and 5 years once you've graduated the program. So personally, what do you base success on? Right now, we are 100% successful in that we've had no positive drug screens. So I think that is fabulous for us getting started. We meet weekly every Thursday at court at 11 a.m. and I invite any of you guys to come and join us so you can see the difference that is made in these people's lives. But we're asking for the opioid funds for, like I said, an individual probation officer, which depending on insurance could run us about $100,000, depending on what kind of insurance they take. And then the other $30,000 roughly that we're asking for is for programming. That will extend us for a couple years, and eventually the program will be self-sufficient, but we've got to get up and running. That is just strictly the opioid money for 2022. So that is the amount that we're currently asking for, but we want to stay on your radar.
add to that, we've been awarded ARPA funds to fund the first year of that. Hopefully apply for a DOC grant, potentially take the burden off the county. There's no guarantee that's gonna come through. It, just makes it tough if we're hiring somebody and we basically say we can hire you for a year and not know what the fund's gonna look like after that. Potentially being awarded this or given consideration on it, like I said, we don't get an answer today, makes that a lot easier to have a quality applicant pool. So, again, just to bring it up, get it on your radar, that was our main focus today. So far, so good on it working, and we hope to expand it.
So as far as where you're seeing these participants coming from, are they coming from community corrections instead of going on to community corrections, like home detention actually, are they doing this, or are they coming from where they would have been getting some type of incarcerated sentence?
Correct.
Where exactly are they coming from to come on to this?
So these are high-risk, high-need individuals. So our target is once they are arrested on new charges, we do like a 48-hour turnaround. The prosecutors are the gatekeepers. So anybody that wants to be referred to wellness court is to go through Doug Brown at the prosecutor's office. And then if the prosecutors are on board, they refer to our office we try to do 48 hours because these people are incarcerated and they're looking at normally prison time. Majority of them also have probation or community corrections that they have violated along with the new charge, just because unfortunately that's just the nature of the beast. So normally there's both, but they are looking at some type of incarceration, either in the county jail for an extended amount of time or the DOC.
Is there a limit on like the severity of the charge that's willing to be accepted into the program?
Yes, so the prosecutor has stated that their targets right now are level 5s, level 6s, along with habitual offender status. We have not taken anybody higher than a level 5 with habitual. We do not take any murder, any confinement, any type of confinement, any type of violent crimes, or sexual crimes.
Not getting the easy cases, right? I mean, they're the more hard cases
Right.
of people that's been in and out of the system for a long time.
These are the people that have tried probation, tried community corrections, even tried short stints in jail, and it's not worked.
They're pretty much a rock bottom.
Mostly drug-based or drug abuse type
Yes.
situations.
Yes.
And you said it'll be self-sufficient once you get a full slate of participants.
Hopefully,
yeah.
I mean, depends on the growth of it.
They're paying, once they get jobs and things like that, they're paying back into the program. I just can't tell you exactly how long it would take to do that. It depends on the number of participants.
Is that a required term of their participation in the program, is that they pay fees?
Yes.
And the initial plan to fund the program was through the grants,
Yes.
and then they were just denied, so
Yes.
State gave us money on the DOC level this year.
kind of scrambling to figure out.
We'll apply again next year. I mean, continue to see what they say, but, we did everything we could on the state level to try to get the money. Now we're kind of looking at this as a possible alternative.
While we have you here, where exactly do you hold the wellness court?
So the actual court hearings are in Superior Court, which is Judge Bailey's courtroom, Thursdays at 11. And then we staff all cases from 10 to 11 in a private locked door session. But the hearing at 11 is open to the public upstairs.
So it's in up here?
Yes, it is.
So when I met with you guys through ARPA, you said you average 8 to 10 hours a week per person, which your typical program or probation is more like how much a week or a month for
They're
an
a
hour.
high-risk community corrections client, which is the highest need outside wellness court, an hour to 2 hours a week. So it's an extreme jump of services and time.
And it's intensive. I mean, I had the pleasure of covering it while she was on maternity leave, and it's a lot. Been at this for 27 years, and it's supervision unlike I've ever seen before. But I mean, it's a good thing, but to do it right, for it to grow, I feel like we need an employee just because we're kind of capped at 5 with us doing it on
compensation and incentive-based program. So if there's mess ups, there's consequences to those actions, right? If they do well, there's rewards. And they're drug screened at minimum 3 times a week randomly. If there is a positive drug screen, we take immediate action. Whether, depending on what that looks like, whether that's rehab, whether that's a week in jail, whether that's termination from the program. It's all case by case.
I know something else that was important for me when they presented to ARPA was that they are also, through the programming, I won't even use the word encouraging, almost forcing, finding outside activities that will help support their recovery after they're off the program. That was a big thing for me, is that a 2-year intensive program that steps down is really good, but if you don't build that support structure after the program's gone, I'm like, well, that's where it'll fail. But part of the program was the question I asked at ARPA too was, okay, well, how did you build a support system after they get out? And that's part of the program, is finding those activities and those support systems through the program that they're going to sustain moving forward. Building those new relationships. Said I kind of heard the thing at ARPA, so it's been in my head for 3 or 4 weeks. I think that will be a sum of money, barring any other new information or people that are requesting. And I think it's the perfect fit for the program. It's drug-based programming that is going to change our generational drug issue we have in Decatur County, which is why we built a big jail, because it wasn't a huge surplus of people living here. It was drugs and generational issues. So I'm for one for trying to fund it as much as what we can and trying to really break those chains as much as possible, along with everything else that we've really done in the county for the last 10 years to make a difference.
I mean, I think this is the kind of program that the opioid money was intended to fund, and a problem that opioid money was intended to address.
Janet, this number 132,000 is in hand now.
Correct.
Have we gotten the money that was erroneously distributed by the state to other?
From New.
Have we had any interest from any place else or any other parties that have requested any of the unrestricted or restricted shares?
Yeah. Shouldn't have halfway houses in town. Program is called me and ask. But nothing official.
And we would still have the unrestricted balance that's in there, 56,000, to help support that. The future funding seems to dwindle pretty fast over the next years.
Initial draw was the big one.
It goes down to like 10 something.
Yeah, 23 unrestricteds, 10,182, and the restricteds 23 and stays about there in 24 and 25, so it's 10 to 12,000 a year unrestricted.
That's paid out till 2038, if I'm not mistaken.
Janet explained it kind of depends on how quickly we collect it also, so, but we've got that sitting. Said I've had it on my table for 3 or 4 weeks. I don't have a lot of discussion of it. Potentially making a motion to just go ahead and free that up for their 25 salary budget.
No, that, well, it's probably been close to a month ago. I think that we talked initially about this. I would like to see the money kind of way this fashion. If we could put together.
Well, I'll make that motion that we approve the current unrestricted funds at 132 that you requested.
Restricted.
Restricted funds. I guess the only caveat I have is that they get set aside for the next following year salaries. I think we projected that like 105.
Depends on the health insurance plan.
So we could do 105 or 110 for the 25 budget and have that set aside and kind of allotted for that, but free up the remainder of that for programming and support for that over this year, next year.
Mark, yeah.
second that motion.
The total 132,81 would be used in 2025. That's what I understand.
That would be the plan.
Well, what I was saying was 110 in 2025 for salaries, and then 20,000 freed up currently to help start up programming and whatever supplies or whatever you need for that. It's kind of a materials need that could be released sooner than that. The new ARPA, has that been voted on yet? The ARPA committee has approved it. I don't know whether it's been to council yet. Let's talk about doing a 1 year, assuming that goes through. We
That
will
was
do it
our
for
plan,
25.
like, you just can't hire somebody on the.
Yeah, so if it doesn't go through, then we'll cover the 24 with cover salary, but hoping that the ARPA will go for the year. We can do ARPA for a year and opioid for a year and get us a 2-year salary base.
Hopefully the state comes through, and we'll apply. We'll see what
Right.
happens.
So 110 for the salary for 25, or $22,081.81 for programming. I guess salary and benefits, because it wouldn't just be salary, salary and benefits.
And we basically break out that that's what it's to be used for, and if ARPA gets voted through council, then that can be the first year or second year funding, then ARPA can be first year, second year, whichever way makes the most sense. That way we can fund 2 years of it.
Okay,
I did have one more on the unrestricted funds. I had requested this year for some fringe relief on the community corrections side, meaning insurance, PERF, and FICA. I was asked to potentially make it another year. We'll do what we can. I just wanted to get on your radar. Definitely don't expect a decision today, because we'll do all we can to get through 2024. But if I run into some issues, I think unrestricted can pretty much be used for anything you guys decide on. Just requesting to be considered for that if I run into a jam when it comes to our fringe on the community corrections side. So there's 56 in there for the initial draw, and then a little bit more after that as it steps up. Like you stated, Jeremy, that it's not quite as high as what before, but just wanted to get on your radar on that if I potentially run into some budget shortfalls to help me get through 2024.
I just want to wait and see.
Yeah, no, I understand. Just wanted to make the request, put it out there, and hopefully I'm not coming back to you, but if I am, you'll know why. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I had sent to you guys last night both the apparel, request for bids, both apparel and for logos for county vehicles. So the county has a new logo. We'll actually have a unified logo now at this point. And we are requesting bids for apparel so that we can get t-shirts, polos or collar shirts, and a number of other items here with the logo screen printed or embroidered on that piece of apparel. And then we're also looking at getting the logo bid to have it put onto the side of vehicles, whether it's the highway department, health department, any other of those vehicles. And so we have those written out bids here as well for your guys' review.
so are we sending them to vendors, or vendors have to request this information?
My plan was to go ahead and publish it, and then I know of, I think 2 right now that were interested in the apparel, and I know of 1 already who was interested in the logo for the vehicles.
couple of vendors to do business with our company here, so I'll contact them.
And so for both of the bids then, they're open as of today. And then they are to be submitted by October 2nd, 2023 at 8:30 a.m.
Sealed bid until we open them, add a review or collect score.
Yeah, it has in there that the bids shall be delivered in person or by email, and all bids shall be sealed.
So logo public,
Was that?
is the logo public?
So we are waiting on, so the logo committee was myself, Deanna Burkhardt, and Ashley Hungate, and we are going to do an actual full, I guess, unveiling, either sending it out by email to everybody or having it sent to everybody and to the newspaper. At this point, I think that's pretty much where we're at. So the logo will be available to any of the vendors, strictly for the purposes of this bidding process.
So if we want to order other apparel, we can still go to those vendors, correct?
For other apparel, for like your office and things like that, with your office logo, yes. For these, like for this logo for the county, they would have that agreement for 1 year.
That we can order.
Yeah, you would be able to order through that vendor, for that 1 year time period. And part of the request as well with the bid is that they set up some kind of, or state if they have the option to do online. So they have like a little online store for us so that you can go in and see the different items and directly off of their website with that logo.
So I can't choose a vendor.
Correct.
We have.
For this logo. Yep. Anything else, gentlemen?
So the logo will be proprietary to the vendor?
No, it's our information. The logo is our proprietary property. They have the contract at that point to work with that logo.
Any other questions? Social media.
All right, you guys have a copy of the, I think, 4th iteration now of the social policy. There have been now numerous additions, including now some additions after talking with Dave Henderson from IT. I think at this point, we have covered about everything that I can foresee at this point. Foresee.
Yeah, it all looks good to me. A lot of conversation I had with Dave about controlling the actual ownership of the page through the IT department. It's a good area of conversation for us. We don't really intend on doing emergency stuff with the page. As a primary source, we'll have red line and stuff like that.
Well, before we move to approve the social media policy, I think at this point we need to actually discuss and vote on whether or not we even have a social media account, Facebook account for
motion to create a social media account utilizing the guidelines suggested.
I'd second that motion. And then I would make the motion to adopt the guidelines that were submitted for that policy.
Second.
The guidelines. On the side. Next up, we have current highway departments usage. Percent discussion.
Looking at what looks to be the appraisal for the property.
That's not to be made.
Okay. Brings more questions for me. So I have put some phone calls out to find out what potential loan interest rates are for our potential loan requirements. Figure out what those payments are. I know we can't get the interest rate from the DOT, I guess, yet. So we can't even calculate that loan payment out, what those payments are going to be. But I want to try to have something that's comparable with that, so I can make decisions with that information in front of me. Current commercial loan rate's 8.5%. But the two banks that I've called have a government rate that's lower than that. So I'm waiting for that information to come back so I can start looking at amortization schedules and what the loan payments would be at different values. Now that we have the appraisal, some better numbers to run off of and compare to.
The number that I had gotten as far as interest was right around, I think, a little over 6. But that, of course, is not like the official. Here's the
right.
Yeah. That was the number that I had gotten.
So that's kind of where I'm at, and I want to run the amortization schedules, see what the payouts are, what the loan payment requirements would be. Still trying to find discussion on how, what the loan payment money will come out of and when it will come out of those areas and what our loans could look like. But
I know I had made a call to another appraiser, and he told me that you had talked to him earlier in the day as well. And the fee to do a separate appraisal for, I think you mentioned the highway department and the old jail lot, I think it was like 2,500.
1,600 for the highway department. The old jail lot's residential, so the price for that should be nominal.
So substantially lower than we initially thought. As far as if we were to sell, is there a minimum price that we can put on this?
Yeah. Move to auction and set it. We just need to either Can't keep kicking the can down the road, I guess, what I'm gonna say.
Well, if he gave me an interest number, interest rate number, I'd be willing to make a decision. But when we have an agreement to pay something back and the discussion was never had about what interest rate we're gonna pay, that puts me in a really bad position here to try and figure out what we're doing. Because the number here on this appraisal is not as high as what I was led to believe it was going to be. Because this puts us in the ballpark of other building use that other departments need.
You know, if BOT comes back at 8 or 9 or 10%.
Yep.
Interest rate. You can get it cheaper through someplace else. I'd rather go that way versus just going to BOT, so. Still some questions.
But I still want to see us, we obviously have a debt and we have to pay off that debt for the highway department. So if there's a way that we can do that without spending more money on interest than we have to, then I think we need to look into that. And if that means that we sell this, then I think that's what we need to do. But I need to know what the interest rate is for what's left on the highway department.
I'll try to get that this week. You can give it to me.
We'll make a motion and we table it until next week.
That's it.
Next up, we got a 4-H fair recap. I have some preliminary numbers, but they're only preliminary. Because I had a question. That I discovered last night. Janet, our initial deposit for the pre-sale tickets is not listed on the numbers that you gave me.
Which, are you talking about the ledger or just my report for the vendors?
Ledger. It was 50. $58,100.
That didn't show up on the ledger?
No.
I'll have to take a look at that.
And then we wired back to Lures, their portion. That is in here. So that kind of skews things unless I'm reading this wrong. 25,502 is what we wired back them out of the 58,100.
So the 58 was not broken down, it was just one sum.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to take a look at
Yeah,
that.
it was I think the Thursday of the fair when we actually put that in here.
Okay.
So my numbers come to about $86,000 fair profit. But like I said, mine's not much with yours, so we'll get that straightened out here before the day's out. And I don't have water or electric's not in here either.
Correct, I did not. It's,
Because the water bill and electric bill is always a little higher fair month.
oh, yes.
While we're talking about the fair, I wanted to get both of your guys' opinions here on actually creating a new fair board. While I enjoy working on the fair, I think it was a great success this year and it was a lot of fun to be out there. My concern is that with the commissioners being the ones in charge of putting on the fair, we are
subject to elections. And there's the possibility that we get voted out, and if a new commissioner or a new set of commissioners come in that don't have the, I guess, same passion or drive to do the fair, that the fair could suffer. And I don't want to see that happen for the kids that are in 4-H. So that's my biggest concern here with the commissioners continuing to be in charge of putting the fair on going forward in the future. I think that a fair board is probably the appropriate place to have that, so that they aren't subject to public elections, so that we can have some kind of continuity going forward. I think that the discussion could be had the way that we would create that new fair board and how the makeup of that board is done. But I just wanted to get your guys' opinion before we move any further through the year with the new fair. I mean, basically right around the corner when you need to start planning.
I'm in favor of that. I think we need to create bylaws or rules that address spending, how things are receipted, how things are invoiced out, and create a process that's auditable for that. Just like we would any of the rest of the committees that would, or offices that would control money, so that it continues to run basically the way that we've been doing it, with monies in and monies out, so that we track that. I also think that we need to look at a way to document volunteer hours and volunteer efforts out to fairgrounds. In my conversations with lots of people involved with 4-H and the fairgrounds, there's a large amount of volunteers and things out there, which is amazing. And figure out how to document that and place value on it in exchange for either services or what that is, just so we have some kind of a written explanation of how that's being handled and what's being done with it.
Well, I'll give you my 2 cents. Before last year's fair, I couldn't give you 2 cents worth of care about the fair until I got involved in it. Now I'm pretty passionate about it. I saw what it was, and what it is, and still think what it can be. That is a great county asset out there. I think it needs to be taken care of and can be expanded and grown. I think the commissioners need to be involved, whether it's running the fair or not. They need to be heavily involved. It happens to our, just as no different than how we take care of the courthouse or anything else. So I would be okay to creating a committee or board. I never intended, and I don't think that the commissioners at the time intended to be the fair committee forever. But there's a great deal of growth that can take place out there, and we just got to be very careful on how it's done.
Yep. I have a copy of the old bylaws already, and I'll start working on putting something together, and then we can start getting some input. I can start getting some input from different groups and people, so we can maybe get something done here soon.
Okay, we have a request to vacate an alley in Milford. Krista, you gone through all this?
Oh.
Review committee?
Oh, yes. Sure. Yeah, she has all the information on it, but there are 3 half alleys that dead end into their property. they 811'd it, there's no utilities. They don't go anywhere. We didn't see any reason why they shouldn't be.
The back side of the property, is that a garage that comes from the other side, or is that another house?
It's Hold on.
Hold on.
The
Comes on the
alley,
85.
the alley goes through.
Yeah, the alley goes through. I didn't overly see anything to discuss like we had on the other ones. There's no adjoining property owners that have anything to do with either side of the alleyway. You guys surround the property on both sides.
I didn't have any concerns on this one.
So these, what, the 4 listed property owners, they've all been notified?
Yes.
They're okay with it?
So their signatures are in here, right?
Okay, next page.
The only concern we had was some drainage on the south end, but didn't really see, everything seems to go the other way. Sorry, I think they had everything they needed actually, but do you have any comments?
The vacating the alleys wouldn't change the drainage issue anyway, right?
No.
It's just erasing imaginary lines. I make a motion to approve it.
You can do it. I'd second.
Thank you.
On the last meeting, we discussed, I'll do the right spot too, closing the courthouse for the solar eclipse in April. We didn't take a vote on that, whether there was further discussion or if we needed to vote on it. I have not talked to the elected office officials in the courthouse as of yet, but I felt like this was the first step to make sure the commissioners were willing to close it before we asked the elected officials if they wanted to close their offices.
Do we need to close it the whole day?
Sheriff's still here. I believe based off the manpower resources the sheriff's department is gonna have, closing all day is going to be in the best interest of the sheriff's department. He can utilize his security personnel plus any transport officers for other things. It's gonna be for the sheriff. I don't want to speak for him since he is still here. I mean, that's a conversation we're gonna have.
Again, preliminarily, it means we've had, in planning for this, Purdue's done a study. If we follow that model, it's gonna be anywhere from 30 to 50,000 people here. If we follow that model, and there's no reason why I say we shouldn't follow that model at this point. So that is our concern. We're gonna have 30 to 50,000 people, gonna double our size, or more than double our size over the weekend. So we're gonna be stretched thin.
Tuesday?
Monday.
It's a Monday, but it's being sold as a weekend event here in Decatur Town.
Yeah, we're anticipating the festivities, 2 separate festivities, one at the high school area. And then of course, we're gonna try to work on something for the fairgrounds to try to help control traffic flow and get people in and out of places where we can plan emergency response. Potentially have a nurse's station on site to handle things so we're not doing transports if there's issues.
We can
Evacuation
verify,
routes, one-way streets.
we can verify already. All of our hotels already sold out that weekend. Shelby County's, their hotels are sold out. Batesville's sold out, that's what I'm being told. So again, some people are planning on being
I know the city of Greensburg, there are no days off, no vacation, 12-hour shifts.
here. The same with us.
Yeah, so even their like office staff at City Hall are working it. It's not just their fire department,
Right.
police, it's all of their people are working in some way, big.
Thinking of early voting, what is this date again?
April.
April.
April 8th.
April 8th, okay, thank you.
I guess it's something that we need to consider. If it's gonna, it's hard to fathom that we're gonna have that many people come here for a 3-minute event.
We have also started marketing it.
I think that, yeah, with what the solar eclipse group is trying to do, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
You know, one of the big concerns I have through the planning stages though is the sheriff doesn't just have to cover the fairgrounds. And New Point, all of those areas in the county, he's gotta have people available to respond to that. And I'm assuming potentially stage outside of Greensburg, so they're gonna be able to do that.
Right.
New Point, PD is, I've talked to them, they're gonna assist as much as they can, Westport, St. Paul, but it's still very limited resources. And I think the flow of traffic in town is gonna be, I mean, they're closing streets and changing traffic flow and all kinds of things.
Yeah, I guess if we'll have to. I don't think it'd be a terrible idea, but everybody is saying it's going to happen. I feel like this is a 2-hour delay, 3 months away from a snowstorm though. So, but I think that we should heed Purdue's advice and.
Well, that's gonna get pushed out from Department of Homeland Security. I mean, it's statewide emergency planning agencies pushing this out, going, you better be ready because it's coming and you don't have a choice. So it's a little more than just Purdue, it started there, but yeah.
No, I think we should keep their warning.
Well, I will talk to the other elected officials who occupy space in the courthouse and see if they have any objections, and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting.
Would that include the annex?
Yeah, probably. I'll have to talk to them and see what their opinions are, but I think there's a phone staging area that's gonna be put up over there, and email will be working out of that area too, so. Even county highway garage, I don't know, we've talked to them, but they may very well be out trying to put signs up and different things. We need to ask Brad about that. If any support's been requested from county highway, I don't know.
I might add, you can't rent a highway LED sign for the month of April next year. You cannot. There are none in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah, no. No, and I mean, and our EMA has got stuff purchased knowing that. I mean, they've called out, I mean, you can't rent a barricade
No.
in this half of the United States of America. Porta potties are sold out. I mean,
For 3 minutes.
NDOT has gobbled up every single mobile battery operated sign.
and currently, I don't believe that there is, I mean, I think the state police is pushing down, you're not getting assistance from us in your areas. It will be highway is the last kind of thing I've heard. So I mean, they're divvying things up. And it's 3 minutes and 44 seconds of complete darkness. Carthage is 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
Okay. Vote on that next meeting. Patty, you have anything for us? So Brian, if he's staggered.
I have a report from him. Economic development, ready planning is beginning as more guidance has come from the state. The application is due early next year, and there will be a cost per partner for the writing and assembling of the application. The parameters around that are being refined as we learned about what the state is allowing for admin costs. We'll be coming before the council tomorrow with an incentive agreement structure for the battery project. He has yet to receive the econ development agreement from the attorneys at this point, but we'll share it as he gets it. The reality store is planned for the 26th at Greensburg Junior High School. It's a great event, gives the students a taste of what life is really like, and all are invited to attend and be a part of that on the 26th.
Anything from the chamber while you're at?
No, thank you though.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Have you had any luck finding someone to appoint for Marion Township Board?
I have twisted arms. I'm supposed to have gotten the name over the weekend, but he didn't call to say he would. So I'm assuming he would not. But we're still, Bob Johanneman and Brad Shee down there are both out looking, so.
Okay, perfect,
Hope
thank
to have
you.
something for October.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
That the tax sale for Decatur County is this Friday, 10 a.m., be held in this room. 40, maybe less parcels on the tax sale.
And does the commissioner need to be present for that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Are we going to be bidding mowing lawn services out for next year? Or will we continue to use our current company?
Doug, was this your first year or second year on that? This was your second. So we'll probably, it was a 2-year agreement, so we'll probably be advertising for that.
Do we have any current discussion that we need to do on insurance? Or are we still researching before we reopen that discussion?
Well, it's not on the agenda, so I don't.
I think we're waiting on our renewal numbers that we're supposed to have by the end of this month.
Okay.
If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to recess.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you all for coming.